Hey. Yes, that's
Yeah, there's
fine.
more people. Yeah, there's more
Yeah,
people.
more people coming.
Mhm.
In fact, I believe some of the in Assyrian it says Manfono in the
Mm.
teachers. Uh, they are going to join us. I don't know. I'm just waiting for them. They are the experts on the Assyrian language.
Mm.
Uh, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm very glad that you allocated the time
All
to,
right.
to to my little little work.
Mhm. All right. Probably we should start. Let's proceed. Yes, and people will join us later on. Somebody would like to.
Okay.
So I'll just I'll say a few words about you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We are very pleased to have Abdallah Risk as a lecturer, our lecturer, and he will deliver a sequence of interesting talks about Syria, his native country. And this is the first lecture, and later, already next year, we'll have about three other lectures dedicated to this region. And today, the first lecture will be about ancient history of Syria, correction, and liberation. Yes, Abdallah, please. Thank you.
I'm just trying to share my screen with you. Thank you
Yes.
very much, Sergey. Thanks very much for the Rudmino Academy. Oops, I'm
Mhm.
having some small technical issue with my computer. Thank you, everybody, for allocating the time to listen to my lecture about the ancient history of Syria. Uh, I call it Syria, the land of creation, and the pictures I have here, it's all, not all, except only this one. It's not made by me. I mean, everything else is made by me personally, and on those two pictures, you can see even my family. So the places I'm going to talk about, I've seen it by my own eyes, and I touch it by myself. Uh, when the people talk about Syria those days, they only think about those pictures, those really awful pictures, destructions, refugees, blood, poor people. But is this really Syria? The people said that the history has been written by the victorious. But I would like to start today's lecture by another word for Maxim Gorky. And it says, the leaf which did not fall in autumn is a traitor in the eyes of its sisters, a faithful with the eyes of the tree, a rebellion with the eyes of the season. So every person, he looks to the fact, to the situation with his own eyes. Unfortunately, nobody more than the Syrians understand how the history might be altered and falsificated because we are struggling because of that. Now we are seeing how the the fake news and the fake facts and the truth has been rewritten by our own eyes, by the stuff like we are watching ourselves. So you can imagine when we want to talk about some stuff happened like 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, definitely there will be some more. So that's why in my presentation today, I will be focusing more on the facts, on the archaeological findings. Some of the talks, I know that some people they will not like it. For some, it will be shocking news. For some, it will be like, oh, he's a talking about something like that. But I believe and I hope that some of you will look into the deep truth behind the text. So I will take you in a journey today to meet the creator of the civilization on the wings of the phoenix bird, which reborn from the ash. So fasten your seatbelt and let's start. Syria today, as they call it, the Arabic Republic of Syria, and they attach the word Arabic to the name, was really made on 8th of March, 1920. It was called the Arabic Kingdom, or the Syrian, or the Arabic Kingdom of Syria. It was under the French mandate in 1924. 1930 become the Syrian Republic. We got our de jure independence from the French mandate in 24th of October 1945, but the de facto it was the 17th of April 1946, where Syria became an independent state. In February 58, joined with Egypt, and we made the United Arabic Republic, but Syria left the Union in 1961. Today, the territory of Syria in 185,000, we say 186,000 square kilometers. Latest statistic says that Syria now is 17 million plus. Before the war on Syria, we were about 22 millions. The majority, the people of Syria, they are Syrian Arabs, Aramean, Kurds, Turkmen, Assyrian, Armenian, Greek. Many people are from different origin, from different nations, are living in Syria. But today we are going to look deeper in a wider view. So the area which we see now on the screen, and I hope you are watching this presentation on computers, because on telephones would be very small and you wouldn't be seeing many of the stuff I'm gonna show you. And because the presentation is too big, and every slide in this presentation can be made as a separate presentation, complete separate presentation. So I will be jumping in time on the way back into history. So if we look to the region, the Middle East, or as they like to call it, the Mesopotamia, we see countries like Syria, Lebanon, Israel, West Bank, Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Turkey. Those countries really came to existence at the end of the First World War, when the Allies decided to partition the Ottoman Empire. And mainly the discussions were led by the French and the British ministers, Mark Sykes and Georges Picot, and divided the area as we see it here on the screen. Like the blue zone, it's under the direct French control, and they wanted to make it like the Alawiti Republic, and the A zone under the French independence, and they wanted to make it for the Sunniti, and then in Iraq they gave it what today is become Iraq and gave it to the direct British control. They wanted to divide the land in the international zone. They wanted to create Israel. So in 1916, this is what the agreement between Sykes-Picot, which divided the area which belongs to the Ottoman Empire. Of course, Ottoman Empire came to existence beginning of the 12th century, late at the 11th century, when a small Muslim emirates from Turkish origin start gathering together, and after one battle, uh, they become the Seljuki, they win the Byzantines. I'm not gonna talk deep into this one because this one can be made, I mean, into few presentations. But this is how, at the beginning of the 20th century, the the Ottoman Empire were expanded over that area, and where the Sykes-Picot, they decided to split the area. The Ottoman Empire came after the Mongol Empire, which was established by Genghis Khan in the beginning of 13th century, and expanded and controlled a huge part. And in fact, because of the Mongol occupation to Iraq, what today is Iraq, the humanity lost a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, because when they occupied the city Baghdad, they thrown all the books in the river of Dajla, as we call it in our, it's Tigris in English, Dajla, as we call it in our language. So they thrown all the books from the library, and those books, they were made over a few hundred years from translation from the Greek, Assyrian, and other sources, because you know the Arabic Empire, they occupied many lands. The Mongol were not successful in taking over the whole territory of Syria. They were able to get hold of Aleppo, which is north of Syria, today's Syria, and by the leading of Timur-Lenk, they went down to Damascus, surrounded the city for a couple of years, and then they managed to break the walls and get inside the cities, but they had to withdraw when the armies came from territory of Egypt and the Fatimiyin.
Adel, just 1 second. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
Are you showing any slides? Because we have a in the chat this said that screen stands still. Yeah, we can't see moving slides.
yeah, I'm sharing the
Because
slides.
we're still on the first slide. I think there is something with it's not changing.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Yeah, it's right now.
So, okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it's
Can you
better.
see it now?
Yes, different slide.
Because
Yes.
I was doing the full screen.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I need to
Okay.
keep it not full screen.
All right. Yeah, it's fine now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
everybody can see.
Yeah, different slide.
Okay.
Only
Right. So,
Abdallah, if you demonstrate, if you start the demonstration of the slides, they will be bigger. In Russian, показ слайдов. Will you start it?
yeah, I mean that's what I've done. So, can you see it now?
Yes, that's it.
So I restart again from the beginning. So this is the first slide, second slide. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine now. Yes.
This okay.
Mm.
All right. So here the slide about the Maxim Gorky, and this is the flag of Syria, the territory of Syria, the overall territory of Syria, and this is the zone where Sykes-Picot divided the whole territory, and this is the map of the Ottoman Empire, and this is Genghis Khan and Timur-Lenk. All right, and before the Mongol Empire, the territory was under occupation or under the ruling of the Arabic, let's say, power, under the Islamic flag, and because of the Islamic or the Arabs ruling, also the humanity lost a lot of of the old knowledge when they occupied what today become Iran, the Parthian Empire, because when they arrived to the library, they discovered a lot of books, and they were talk like, okay, we have a lot of books, what to do with those books? And the Khalifat said, if they are like what we have in Quran, we have better because we have the Quran. If it's not the same as the Quran, it means they are not good and need to be burned. So the library were burned, and the Parthian Empire lost a lot of its knowledge, and that knowledge came to the Parthian when they occupied what was the Assyrian Empire, and we are coming to that slide very shortly. So the Arabic Empire started in the year 622 after Christ, and it lasted till the 1261 or around when the Mamluki, but it was divided and part and after part fall down. The Arabic Empire, they really fought against the Roman, the Byzantines, who were occupying the territory of Syria. In fact, the Roman Empire, they occupied all the surrounding area of the Mediterranean Sea. But they fall down into two empires, the Western and the Eastern, and Syria were under the Eastern Roman Empire. Before the Romans, we had the Greek Empire, and here when the history start getting very, very tricky, because the Greek empires, they existed side by side with the Phoenician in the Mediterranean Sea. And even the first settlement, as they call it, the first Greek settlement, it happened in what today is Syria, in a place called Almina. And Almina, in our language, it means the seaport. And that was 800 years before Christ. So, I mean, I don't know, I mean, how anybody will believe like, okay, a land which was really occupying the whole Mediterranean Sea, someone came to an already populated place and established a city, which is, this is one of the things that really we would like to make it clear for the people. Like the civilization did not come to Syria from other places. In fact, it was extended from Syria to the nearby cities. And the most, let's say, truth or the facts about the Greek civilization, it has its own boom in the year 539 BC. That year, when Babylon fall under the occupation of the Fars, many of the people who were living in Babylon, they moved west out of what is Babylonia to the villages and the cities and the settlement, which become later on as the Greek settlement, and they established that boom. Of course, the Greek civilization or the existence, it came with Alexander the Macedonian Alexander the Great, who occupied the territory of Syria in 333 BC, and they started what they call the Hellenization of the Near East. And into the next and the fourth lecture, we're going to be talking in deep what the Hellenization means, what's the origin of those words, what the meaning of those words, because many people, they're using some of the words and they believe that, oh, that's a Greek word. Oh, yeah, but it's not a Greek. What the meaning of the word Greek? We will be talking about all those stuff into the coming lecture. But today we are focusing only on the political and historian part of the area. So Alexander the Great occupied the area, and after his death, his marshals, his leaders, they split the territory, and the territory of Syria were under uh, the main two leaders, the Seleucus Nicators and Ptolemy. They split the area, and Syria was under the control of Seleucus Nicator in the year 323 BC. Of course, before Alexander came to the region, because Alexander he defeated the Pharsian. The Fars in the year 540 BC occupied the whole Assyrian Empire. And here on this slide, and I hope you can see it, it shows the the whole extent of the Persian Empire, which was from India, coming to what today is Afghanistan, and further to Iran, Syria, Iraq, and all this territory till Egypt and till Libya, Turkey, Armenia, the Caucasus, and Macedonia. And because of the occupation of that area, that's what was the reason why Alexander he went back and fought against the Persians and took the land. So this was it started in the year 660 BC and finished at the year 500. I mean, 448, I think, where they took over the whole area. But we were talking exactly about Syria. So Macedonians, I mean, Alexander the Great, he put an end to the Persian occupation. The Persian occupation took over the Assyrian occupation, and during that period, we are seeing now the big cities and colonies of the Phoenicians into the Mediterranean Sea. And I hope that you can see the slide. It covers the whole Mediterranean Sea. Of course, some of the cities they are not here, and we will come to the name of those cities when we talk about the meaning of the words, what the kings did into the next lecture. But the most important city which was established was Carthage, and in this we will know what the meaning of the word Carthage, and of course in more details later on. But here you have the cities. So the whole Mediterranean Sea was like a Syrian lake. All the cities existed there. They were built and ruled by the Assyrians power. And when the first came, they took over part of that kingdom, let's say, but they couldn't take over everything. And here we reach to the Assyrian Empire, and where really the history becomes very tricky, because the the area is related heavily into the Bible, in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And all the scholars, when they wanted to study the area, their only source of information was the Bible. So when they came to the region, they were looking and searching for the cities related to the Bible. And further they looked, the further they became from the Bible. Because the findings on the ground, all the archaeological findings, proved that that portion of the knowledge we got from the Bible did not reflect the real existence and the real power and the real nations who were into the area. And they start giving names to the nations based on the knowledge of the Bible, the Old Testament of the Bible. And here were the biggest, I myself, I call it the biggest robbery of the history, where they stamped the whole territory as a Semitic area. So we have the Semitic language, Semitic people, and this term Semitic appeared in the beginning of the 19th century. A German like scholar, he called the name. And now, if anybody will say anything, oh, you are anti-Semite, oh, you are a Semite. Yeah, guy, but come on. We have cities in this area 2,000 years before even the birth of Sam himself, because Semite, it means like they are the descendant of Sam, son of Noah. Noah himself, we have cities prior to Noah. We have Noah himself, he was talking, the language was existed there. So how you come and say like the grandfather belongs to the grandson? This is big robbery of the history. But unfortunately, this term Semitic, the Semitic language, the Semitic group of people, the Semitic and everything, it's too deep in with all the scholars and the people who studying the area, and it will be difficult to get rid of that and start using the real meaning, the real words, because that's really preventing us from looking into the facts. So they divided the place here into small group of nations, and all those nations, they had no relation to each other except they are Semitic. So we have the terms Babylonian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Kanaati, Hittite, Kassidi, uh, everything. And when discover a city, oh, those are the Abelian nation. Those are the Marian nation. But they never look that this is one nation occupying different part of the land, which is an open land without any national borders. Because, and it is still the same when you are in a village and you want to divide the land, and you come and say, oh, from that tree to that rock, this is my land. Beyond that one is your land. It's like that. Up to that hill is my territory. Beyond that hill is your territory. And during those time, I mean, you wouldn't see like a sign on the road, oh, welcome into territory of Mary. You are accessing the city of Babylon, the city of the Lord. You don't see such kind of, you know, tablets like to identify the area, because the people, they did not consider it as the same. They have the natural borders. So we will be talking a little bit more about this area using some of the terms that people are using now. But I hope that you will understand that we are talking about the same people living into different cities. I mean, you wouldn't say, oh, the nation of Domodedovo, they were leading some discussions with the nation of Rechnoy Vokzal, so it's like it's a few hundred kilometers distance between those nations, and that's it. And we are not different nations. So the Assyrian empires, they divided the Assyrian empires into like three main empires, where we have the Neo Assyrian Empire, and it started by the year 900 BC and lasted till the year 609 with the fall of Assyria for the occupation of the Persian. And here I hope that you will have your like notepad, and you will put all those dates, because that will be a lot of mixture, and really need to pay a lot of attention for this. I put a lot of text here, so if people are reading, uh, you can not really pay too much attention for the readings. I will be saying the most important issue. So the new Assyrian Empire, it occupied all the land belongs to the Assyrian people, from the mountain Zagros, which is in Iran today, till the mountain Toros, which is in Turkey today, little bit further into the area we call it Cappadocia today, and into the second lecture, we're gonna know what's the meaning of the Cappadocia means, down to Egypt, cross the Sinai desert, but because of the existence of the sea, the whole land were considered as part of, in fact, the Assyrian Empire, the new Assyrian Empire, they occupied even Sudan in the Red Sea. And many people, maybe they don't know that the most common speaking language in the Red Sea area, in African section of the Red Sea, east part of Africa, west part of Africa on the seaside, is the Swahili. Swahili is like a mix between the Assyrian and the Arabic. And the word Swahili comes from the word Sahel, which means the seaside. So the people are talking Swahili, which is the language of the people of the seaside. So this is the new Assyrian Empire. It was established by Adad Nirari the second, and some of the leaders into the second and the third lectures. We're going to be looking deep what those kings have done, what their let's say impact on our life and the life after that. The other empire before the new Assyrian Empire was the mid Assyrian Empire, and it lasted from the 1300 up to one. It was from the 1000 BC back to the 1300. Also some, but this period was collapse period. Was very like weak leaders, which made some of the smaller kings, what they call themselves, like the state, the city-state people, trying to make themselves look like the kings. They stopped paying the tax for the central leader. And before the mid Assyrian, we have the old Assyrian, and of course the Assyrian, the name comes from Assur or Ashur. The letter S and She get changed very frequently into between the old language and the modern language. The most common, maybe you know this one, in Arabic we say salam. So when someone comes in, you say salamu alaikum. The Jewish people, they say shalom. So salam, shalom. Some of the Arabic in Syria, they call shalom. So it's not salam, it's not shalom, it's shalam. Another dialect, it comes like salomu. So the letter S and the letter she, it always swap between both languages, as well as the letter A and the letter O. So like the name Sim'an in Arabic become Sham'un into Aramic language, which is not which there's no language called the Hebrew. I mean, that's the Aramic language, the one of the dialects of the Aramic. So the Assyrian, the old Assyrian, the civilization, or they were based in a city called Assur or Ashur, and the people called the place Mat Ashur, or the city of the god Ashur. And they established some of the cities, expanded their existence into the valley, where we have the Mari kingdom. They established one of the cities, which become the Babylonia after a while. Uh, in fact, they established in Anatolia, which is in Turkey now, trading points and trading ports. And the port in the Akkadian language is Karum. Karum, it means trading point or trading district or port itself. And the word Karum still now is used as the Karum. So, and into the second, I will prove for you more about when we were talking about the words and the origin of the words, how it came. But here it was very important because the old Assyrian Empire, they established what they call the Karum into the nearby places, and those Karum, or trading post or trading point, developed to become like cities, and one of them become Babylonia. So when we talk about the Assyrian, they exist before Babylonia, but it's nearby area, and the structure of the city, it is the same. All the old cities, absolutely all the old cities which were built by the Assyrian, they have the same structure, where you have the temple, many temples for many gods, but you have the biggest temple for the main god of that city. You have the trading point, and then you have the houses. You have what you call the trading point, which is the souk or the agora, and how the city built. So on the slide here, we look and we see that in 2000 years BC, Assyria was not a big like empire, but nearby they had Mari, they had Yamhad, and they have Katna. Yamhad, as they called it, the name of the kingdom. Then they come, they say, oh, that's our Hurrian. Oh no, they are not the Hurrian, they are the Hittites. Oh well, they are different one who had fighting with the Hurrian and the cities, but they were based in a city called Ebla. But okay, guys, but why are we all jumping between giving names for different nations what did exist and did not exist? But this is the fact that the Syria has struggling after the fall of Syria, after Syria lost its power, the Assyrian civilization. The people, they start, oh yeah, you did not exist in the history, and this was for someone else from here and there, and many stuff. If we go further into history, before the Assyrian, the old Assyrian Empire, we had the Akkadian Empire. So the Akkadian Empire was started by the great Sargon in the year 2334 BC, and who ruled for almost like 60 years, 54 years. And he is the first leader in the history who ruled an empire. He united all the places under his power. And the most important figure in the Akkadian Empire, also named Naram-Sin. Naram-Sin is the one who conquered uh, beyond Ilam, beyond Elam, which today is in Iran. And they showed how they have a lot of what do you call it? Cities and findings that the people are finding into the places all over the territory of the Akkadian Empire, starting from the far east of the Akkadian Empire till the west. And the Akkadian language was commonly used. But suddenly, the people start using the Aramic. And if we look deep, the difference between the Akkadian and the Aramic, we don't find much because it's the same. It's different dialect. I mean, I would say now some Arabic words, everybody will understand those words. So when in Arabic we ask, "How are you?" So the standard Arabic way we ask, "كيف حالك?" كيف حالك? So all the Arabs or all the Arabic speaking people, they understand كيف حالك as how are you? In Syria, we could say كيفك, but also we ask شلونك? شلونك? So for someone who listened to the word the first time, كيفك become شلونك, it looks like a different word. But if we disassemble the word, the letter K at the beginning of كيفك, it's changed. Uh, some part of Syria, they pronounce the letter K into Che, is Chifak. And this is still up till now in Iraq. So when they come to someone say Chlonach, so it's something between Che and J. I hope you are catching all those small differences between Che and J. So Kifak in Iraq dialect become Shlonach, and as in territory of Syria, the She or J considered as heavy, it is replaced by She, more soft. So Kifak become Shlonak, and that's how the word. But for somebody who is away, he would say, oh, that's a different language. Of course, I used one very simple word, and into the third lecture, we're gonna be like studying more complex words, showing the deep differences and the changing of the letters, how the letter changed and stuff like that, especially for non-Arabic speaking people. So I hope that you will be able like to attend that lecture as well. So the Akkadian Empire existed during that time, but if we look little bit like into the history, it did exist almost at the same time with the Assyrian, and they used the same territory. So if we look here to this section of the map, which is today near Baghdad in Iraq, in the Akkadian Empire, this section, it is almost the same. It is in this section. So is it new people came from the sky to land in this land and created those people? It is not. It is the same people. Maybe the ruler of the city has changed, but the people did not change. And they come and say, oh, this is a different empire. This is the Akkadian Empire. This is, they are not different people. They are the same people. Only the leader has changed. And he changed the capital from Assur to Akkad. And by the way, both cities, they are still looking for both cities. If we go one step further, before the Akkadian were there, we have the Sumerian people. Sumer. In fact, one of the great writers, he wrote a book like the history starts in Sumer. The Sumerian civilization. Thought I'm just trying to keep my eye on the time. So yeah. So the Sumerian civilization, they were little bit further south, but still on the same city. The Sumerian cities, the Sumerian language, the Sumerian alphabet was spread all around the place. And we are talking 5,000 years ago. The Sumerian civilization, as they call it, or the Sumerian kingdom, did exist 4,000 years before Christ. And it lasts for like 2,000 years. And many of you, they don't know that we nowadays, we are still using some of the Sumerian inventions. I hope somebody knows. Do you know? You don't know? Okay, I will tell you. The Sumerian, because their calculations, their mathematics were based on the number 6. They are the one who divided the hour to 60 minutes and the minute to 60 seconds. And they put the day into 24 hours. Up to now, we are still using the Sumerian identification for the time. Another invention is the wheel. The Sumerian invented the wheel, which everybody knows that this was maybe the greatest achievement for humanity, the creation of the wheel, which makes the life much easier. In fact, if people are interested, I have some pictures of the kids' toys. They found it. I can show you when we will have the questions and answers, because I don't want to jump over the presentation. So the Sumerians, they are one of the creators of the civilization, and they were living into the same area. I keep repeating the same area because this is the area. It's 150 kilometers, and we will come back for this slide. We are talking 150 kilometers. This green area, it is 150 kilometers. And then you can have, you have some scholars talking about different nations living 5,000 years ago into 150 kilometers territory. They are only trying to create this small nation out of the cities. Oh, this city is a different nation. This city is a different nation. It is not. It is the same nation. Even Ilam, which is in Iran today, they used to call them, oh, those they are the Ilam people. But they are the same. They look the same. They use the same dresses. They believed in the same God. They spoke the same language. But we still are trying to tear them apart and say, oh, they are different nation. The Sumerian people, they invented the alphabet, as we as we know it. I mean, the cuneiforms, and we have a list. They call the list of the king, and I left the link. So if somebody will get the copy of the presentation, you can have the link and you can take it. In fact, this site is very informative. But the Sumerians, when they wrote the list of the kings, I will have the beginning of this list here, and it reads as follows. After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Erdu. In Erdu, Alulim became king. He ruled for 28,800 years. Please read slowly and carefully what they said. And that's written on the list of the kings. And this list of the kings existed in many versions. And in fact, this picture, it's like the four-sided stone, and it's in the museum, by the way. So it's not like invented, it's in the museum. And they found several copies of this one. Some of them were updated, some of them were not, because it lists all the names. And I don't want to get into the, I have it open on the other screen. I mean, when we come into the questions and answer, we will look into that section. But it says, after the kingship descended from heaven, and by the way, the word heaven in the old language, and we still use it up till now, means the sky. So after the kingship descended from sky or from heaven, the king was in Erdu. In Erdu, Alulim become king and ruled for 28,000 years. I want to bring your attention to one very, and I hope that you will pay very good attention to what I'm going to say. Notice the difference between the word Alulim and Elohim. Elohim and Elohim. Did you notice any difference? Elohim is the first king of Sumer, who got his power from Enki, the god, the Sumerian god of water and knowledge and crafts. And it was believed he's one of the Anunnaki. So if you believe in the Anunnaki, the Sumerian, the king Elohim, he received his power from Anunnaki, from Enki, the god of the water, which we say is Anunnaki. But the word Elohim, it means the God, and it's changed today into Allah in Arabic, Il into the Aramic and the Aramic language. And in fact, the Aramic, the Akkadian, they are the same. Many people, they come and say, oh yeah, the Aramic language is a dead language. No, it is not a dead language. We have 3 villages in Syria, they're still speaking the Aramic dialects which Jesus Christ spoke in. Those villages called Ma'lula, Baqa, and Jba'din. And they established a new center for reviving, as they call it, reviving the center of teaching the Aramaic. But the closest dialect to the Aramaic is the Assyrian, and we have a lot of like training courses. In fact, in Iraq, during Saddam Hussein's dictatorship, they established like an university for teaching the Assyrian language and the Assyrian, we call it literature. And I had the honor to be taught by Professor Mafono Bashir Taurali, because we attend one of the learning courses if someone speaks some Arabic or interested, there is an online training from lead by a friend of mine, Mr. Samir. I'm not sure should be with us if he's in or not. I'm not sure. So we go back to the king, the list of the kings, and we look into the years this king lived, 28,000 years. Then his second person, Alangar. Alangar was not son of Alolim. In fact, Alangar, he was assistant of Inki. And when Alolim died, Inki, the god of knowledge and water and creation, sent Alangar to rule the city Erdu. But then when the city Erdu fall, the ship, the king's ship was moved into another city. And every time that city fails into the occupation, the ship was moving to another city. And we are talking 4,000 years BC. One of the kings here, his name is very famous, is the Muzi, the Muzid, the Muzi. Does anybody got like small, similar to this word, the Muzi? The Muzi, he was a lover of the goddess Ashtar, and according to the mythology, from their relation, many of the gods were born, and the name Ashtar is mentioned very well into Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and the Epic of Gilgamesh. We're going to be studying it into our third lecture among some of the mythological like writings of the Sumerian and the Assyrian civilization. Those kings, all of them, they ruled before the flood. And if we count the years, we are talking about like 200,000 years before the flood. And the flood itself did not occupy the whole land, the whole earth, as people imagine. Until now, we didn't find any scientific proofs that this flood take a place. It's only into the Sumerian myth. And in fact, even the story of the flood is one of the stories we're going to be looking into when we have our third lecture about the myth. So the list of the kings, which we will look at it a little bit down the line, they said they got their power from Inki, the god of the water and knowledge, and who was believed he was like the one of the Anunnaki. So maybe really it was maybe the first encounter. Maybe we are like genetical result of experiment for another well being nation, and we call it Allah, Elohim, because the first king he was Elohim. I don't know. Many people they believe, many researchers in the world they believe that this is the truth. I leave it to you to study more. What I want to bring to your attention, this land, which hold it it's the incubator of the civilization, it's 150 kilometers. It's just 150 kilometers. And between the two rivers, the one down here is Efrat, the one up here is Dajli or Tigris. And between those cities, there were a lot of small canals connecting them. So when someone comes and tells you or hears somebody talking about, oh, the civilization started with the Greek, you tell them, sorry guys, the Greek civilization started 300 years BC, but we have cities 5,000 years. Cities, I repeat, cities, not small settlements, cities. And we are going to be looking into some of the cities now, down to this one. Here I want to highly focus on one of the incidents in the history. It happened in territory of Syria during this period, where they say like, oh, we have this is the Assyria, the Babylonian, and all the stuff, and part of Syria was occupied by the Egyptians, and we are talking like 1,300 years BC, and there were some conflicts between the Egyptians and the Hittite, who were like occupying this part of today is Turkey. Uh, this part or this incident, it was heavily documented into what we call the Amarna letters. The Amarna letters, they are communications between the prince and the leaders of those cities and the settlements in the area, and the king in Egypt, and instructions received from the king. And all those letters, they were written in cuneiform. Though they were talking to the king of Egypt or the pharaoh, and everybody knows that the Egyptians or the pharaohs, they were writing into hieroglyphy, but when they were talking to their prince or to the one allocated are the governors or mayor of those cities, they were talking to them into cuneiform. And all of that because of the Assyrian occupation for that land, let's say occupation, when the great Assyria had the land of Egypt, because the knowledge shared by the Assyrian, and they brought them the alphabet, and that one was used for many hundreds of years. In the Amarna letters, it was first time mentioned something they call the Habiru or Habiru. And the Habiru is translated as the dusty people, or the covered with dust, and another meaning which was the crossers. And they are like stateless people based on the hills and the mountains, and conducting raids on the cities. And this word Habiru become the Hebrew. So they were not the kingdom. Unfortunately, some of the people they will come and say, oh, during that period we have the King David's kingdom. Yeah, but the area was well documented, and that's why I said we will study this very deeply, because the letters of Amarna, they they were talking in deep details that Mr. X, this person, son of this person, he brought 5 bags of wheat, 2 jars of wine, exchange it for everything is there. King, we would need this and this and this to be able to survive the winter. We cannot pay, we have to pay this is amount for. So all those letters were detailed in such a way that there were no other kingdom during that period, as some people like to say. And the most famous incident during that period was the Battle of Kadesh. The Battle of Kadesh is the Ramses II, when he decided to take over the land of the Hittite. So he led four troops, four armies. Then he went with one of his army further ahead of everybody else, engaged with in the battle in Kadesh, was nearly killed, nearly captured, and he wrote a poem about that. Then his other army arrived, and this battle finished, which is the first treaty in the world. And this treaty is today in Istanbul Museum. It documents exactly each nation what has to give to the other nation. And in that period, both nations they understood that to cooperate is much better than fight. I will start jumping now because we are getting very short on time. So before the writings, did we have some civilization in the area? Yes, we did. We have a Latamni in Syria, which we have proven a human settlement between 200 to 400,000 years BC. They were living in caves. So the area was inhabited. Yes, there were no big cities as we've seen, but the area was inhabited. We have the place we call Al-Qom, which is near Palmyra. And in this place, Al-Qom, we found the one of the oldest, like Homo erectus skulls, 450,000 years old skull. And all the like in depth like examination of the area, they discovered that the people they had two types of wheat, the emmer and the heart. So they knew how to grow two different types of and they were used to separate them. So they were not as some of the movies they put like, oh, people are gathering some food from the trees. Some no, they were planting fields with wheat, and we are talking about 7,000 years BC. Settlements for 400,000 years old in the city of Palmyra. We have Tel El Carmel in Damascus, not Damascus, it's in near Aleppo in Syria, which includes an 11,000 years BC round tower. This round tower, it's like few hundred years older than the famous Tower of Jericho. And the picture here, if you can look to it, it's in somewhere near Al Ghab. This area now is still between Idlib and Aleppo. So it's a land, it's an open land. Also, it's not only it's a settlement, it's not a city, but they had towers before the walls. Of course, here we have a long list of the oldest cities of the world: Damascus, Jericho, Aleppo, Athens, Agros, Byblos, Sidon, Erbil, Jerusalem. We will be talking about those cities into our next third, maybe, or fourth. So, so you will not be so bored about this. I will show you now some of the real pictures of those cities, but also I'll be jumping very fast. So this is Babylon. That's how it is now in the desert in Baghdad. And the wall and the gate of Ashtar in Berlin Museum. The most famous thing about Babylon, it's Hammurabi, the law of Hammurabi. And in fact, I found on one of the site, they said that a copy of this like status, or I don't know how you call it, the law, the codex, it's in Pushkin Museum in Moscow. Here we have a map showing Babylon in the center and the nearby cities, and they mention like Elam, Assyria. and they don't call them enemy. They call them just, and we have the river. Carthage, or in what today is Tunis, and we're gonna talk about Carthage into the next presentation. We have the city Mari. The city Mari, it is near what we call today between Abu Kamal and the resort. Near this area is almost controlled by the American and the Islamic states. In fact, was looted very badly, very badly. They were like just excavating, trying to get some of the stuff. But this is the first planned city. It was built as a planned city. It did not grow up as settlement and grow up. And the most amazing thing about this city, it had two main canals. One to bypass the city. It's here on the north, because the Ifrat River is here. So the bypass was like 100 kilometers long. It was navigational canal. And then they had an irrigation canal, 16 kilometers, to provide water to the city. It was on the main street. And two more canals coming out of it. And this, why I put this picture here is the Temple of the Lions. I think you remember the view where the terrorists from the Islamic State were like destroying one of the big stone monuments of a lion. So that's the lion temples where they discovered many of those lions, huge, like few tons of lions. And this fresco from the palace of the king, the last king of the Mari, Zain Rilim, the city existed for 1,200 years, and it controlled, in fact, it was a kingdom. It was a kingdom. In some of the previous pictures, you would see the place, Ebla, and Ebla also controlled 17 cities. It was also like a kingdom, controlled 17 cities. The good thing about this city, when the city was discovered in 1964, it had a library including 17,000 clay tablets, and it was as they were left since the city collapsed or lost. And also, the city were led by like a king, but he was not a ruling king. The ruling power of the city was like a shared decision making by the elders. And the king, he was only to fulfill the instruction he receives from the elders, like union. So it was 2,000 years before, the democracy as we know it in Greece. This is one of the main cities. It's Dura Oropos. It's near Al Bukamal today. It was rebuilt by Slikos Nikator. And in the city, we have Temple of Baal, the one from the high, one of the oldest synagogues. And here we have the pictures from the synagogue, which showing different, and maybe the earliest identified Christian house church. And we have some fresco, Jesus and Peter walking on the water, and the Sumerian accepting the baptism. Very famous city. Also, the city was looted by the Islamic states. Here we have Tal Sultan or Jericho, like also 7,000 years old BC cities. This site is Göbekli Tepe, is in Turkey now, but it's south part of Turkey. When it was discovered, they thought it was like only like a grave, but when they've done further excavation, they understood that was one of the oldest temples in the world. Finally, what did they say about Syria? Alexander the Great, when he arrived to Syria and he drank the water from Syria, he said, "This water reminds me of my mother and me." Syria is my second homeland. Charles Firlow, he said, for every civilized person, there's two countries, his homeland and Syria. Herodotus, the great historian, he said the Greek were, if I use the word sauvage, till the Phoenician came involved in the writings. And Old Duran said that the Greek did not establish civilization. They took it really from the east. And the east of Greek is Syria. This is Syria. Syria, it had natural borders with the Parsi, which is the mountain Zagros on, on the east, and the mountain Toros at the north. We have the desert south, and the territory goes to the Sina. In this place, all the old cities, all the old nations, all the discoveries were found here. Of course, there are some other places outside, but and that's where we will be talking and digging more into our next lecture. But Syria is one big land divided by international power, and they created out of one country, which is Syria, many countries. They call them Iraq, Syria, Kuwait, Lebanon, Palestine, Israel, Jordan, Turkey, Iran. But that is today. That is not the natural Syria. And I hope you liked your journey on the wings of the Phoenix. And I'm ready to get your questions. Start shooting me.
Right, does anybody have any questions to Abdallah? The participants? All right, maybe I'll ask one question about Babylon Tower. Wait a second, we have one in the chat. All right, I have one. Could you please give more details on Göbekli Tepe? It's in the chat. There's one question.
I'll try to.
Yeah, details on Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe.
Keep
Yeah, can you see it in the chat? Yes.
No, I can't see the chat. I don't know why.
Uh,
I'm trying to.
it's in the chat. Yeah, the question, that's the question, yes. Could you please give more details on Göbekli Tepe?
Well, there is not too much information about the Göbekli Tepe because the site was discovered not long time ago. I have some more one more picture about the site here. Yeah, I have it. It is in what today called Turkey. I remember I put it. Well, it's considered one of the oldest temples. It used to worship of one of the Assyrian gods. It's Neolithic temple. I have another picture, better view, but I can't find it here. Which kind of information, if I mean, if this person can open his microphone.
Hello. Yeah. No, just the basics. If there are some details about the discovery.
Well, unfortunately, when I prepared this presentation, I didn't pay much attention to download all the available like videos and
Oh,
pictures. I have
okay.
only 2 pictures for the site.
Uh-huh.
I
Never
can't.
mind. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the other picture. I can't. It is not here. Yeah. So
Just was wondering. Yeah.
this site is somewhere in South Turkey, and if you look into this one, the majority of the what do you call the archaeological findings in Turkey, they are below the Toros places, or in the other part of Turkey, where we call it like the Cappadocia, or some of the kingdoms where like the Hittite or the expansion of the Assyrian ruling families. In fact, those people who were living there, they were like the people running away when the dynasty changes in some of the cities. So the old dynasty, they used to run behind the mountains, and that's what this. I'm trying to. I don't know why I'm not able to get it back. Oh, I believe you. Oh yeah. Okay. I was clicking on the other place. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Feel free in English, Arabic, or Russian. If somebody would like to fire a question, I will be more than happy to reply.
What about this story about construction of Babylon Tower?
Well, we will be talking about this into the third
All right.
lecture,
Mhm,
because the city Babylon, it was
mhm,
mainly established by Assyria, by the Assyrian old,
mhm,
as I put here. Uh, and every king, when he used to take the power, he used to try to do something which makes his city like the most beautiful in the world. So the the old Assyrian empire, they are the one who established the city of Babylon. But when one of the new leader of the city build a tower or build get the power, so he always tried to make something very special. And the construction of the tower, it was like mentioned in the Bible. In fact, if you read the Bible, you wouldn't hear about any of those cities. Mary, Ebla, even Babylon. Babylon, it was mentioned only when they mentioned about like the occupation of the Holy Land, as they call it. But if we look into the history, really, those cities, they existed before. And even when we look into the Abraham or Ibrahim journey, I'm trying to just get so I can see you. It's only so fast. So when we talk about the old, like the journey of Ibrahim, they said he moved from Ur, which is south of Iraq today, up 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 to Haran. And I think I can have it here. Oh, it's not. So he went out from Ur, and I will discuss deeply into the myth section, because they said Ur Khaldiski in Russian language. It is the Ur al Kildan, but it is not, because Khaldiski or the Kildani, it is not. It's a diversion of another word. it has nothing to do with this part of. But there is another map where it shows Haran clearly. Haran is somewhere here in this area, Haran. So even Abraham, when he went from Ur to Haran, they did not talk about Babylon. And when they talk about the kingdom of David and kingdom of Suleiman or Solomon, they do not mention anything about Babylon. But Babylon was the greatest city, and it does exist, and it is unearthed, and a lot of findings in Babylon. And only after the discovery of Ebla, with those 17,000 clay tablets were found, a lot of knowledge came to existence about the life of that area and the trading between them. And when we say like the king, he invaded another nation or another sector to bring people to work for him, it cannot be the truth, because when you have slaves, you have to feed them, you have to protect them, you have to keep them under control. So I don't think those kind of cities were built using slaves, especially when we are talking about like very high skilled people working there, and making some of the wonders of the world. I mean, in Babylon, the Tower of Babylon. Uh, Babylon is mentioned also in the Bible, and there were a mix between the two names. Uh, they used the word Namrud, as to mention about the king who wanted to build like a tower to reach the sky. But God, he destroyed the tower, and the people ran away. But many of the scholars, they believe that they were talking about Sargon, not Namrud, because all the excavations in the area never came across the name Namrud. Never. So really, we cannot take the Bible, especially the Old Testament, as the only source of the historical information. The information exists in the archaeological findings, and it shows who really were those people. And when they stamps them with the name like Semite, and gives them the names only from the Bible. This is, I believe, this is a robbery of the history. And I advise you, everybody who's attending today, when they listen to the term like Semite, try to use the original word. Those are the original inhabitants of Syria, and they got their power from the Anunnaki.
All right, thank you very much. No, yeah, thank you for your answer. Well, I think that's about time for the first lecture for today. And luckily, yeah, once again, thank you very much for this fascinating material, for this very interesting lecture. And we'll be looking forward to see you the next year when you deliver the second, third, and fourth lecture. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. I'm yours anytime.
Mhm. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That it will be the end for today. Yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.